Alrighty, here we go. Kind of the end of the game, part 1 here. Back on Motavia, gonna do some housekeeping here in Phantasy Star Generation 4. Yeah, so, let me look at that again. I don't remember if, I think I added tributaries, and then I just kind of played off of this. I can't remember. And that's not going to be in the script that I have. We've max health? No, we're not. Oh, just because we traveled. Yeah, so I'm going to do the Hunters Guild missions here real quick. Because the last one, you get some good weapons for Ren and everything, and, you know, they're just fun to do. Very generous, very desperate. Yeah, so I kept forgetting to do that earlier, but if you say you don't want the job, you know, she'll always say, like, oh, well, someone who wants, you know, maybe someone this kind of person will, you know. We'll do the job. Oh, no, I don't remember how to get there. And, yeah, so if you notice in the original Phantasy Star 4, it's called a hydrofoil, and then they say, you know, an ancient hovercraft, but the name is really supposed to be hovercraft. That's the actual name of the thing. So, and I know I didn't change Land Rover to Landmaster, but I believe I'm gonna guess in Generation 1 it's called the hovercraft instead of a hydrofoil, and that's why I did that. But again, now I wish I could remember, but I can't. This would all have been a lot fresher in my mind a year ago. But you know, alas. Motavia map. Uzo Island. What are you by? Let's go to Mile. Why? I don't know. I mean, you can get wherever you want pretty much from, you know. Okay, there's Mile. Now the monsters are super easy. Yeah, the hovercraft is so ridiculously fast, but it also means that you get encounter rates real fast. And just because I don't want to have the map out later and go to the other island that we need to get to, just go there right now. Yeah, like those guys are from Phantasy Star 1, if you remember. There's so many. Yeah, and here's Tarinko. Good. Let's go to Uzo. We'll take care of all this real fast. Oh, funny thing about Uzo here, I thought that it was just like more like not great writing. That at the beginning here, this lady is this, you know, this is the village of Urza in the planet Motavia, like. So I did just add that line. But she says that because that's what, when you go to the town of Uzo in Phantasy Star 1, that's what the person says, and that's why they had her say that. It's a throwback. It's another throwback to Phantasy Star 1. So I didn't know that, you know, I don't have all the dialogue from Phantasy Star 1 memorized. So when I started the project, I did not know that. Yeah, not that this is super interesting, but... And I feel bad for that guy, you know, trying to sell stuff for his family, so I put a couple, like, you know, more references to him when someone, you know, mentions how great the market is. Yeah. I think it's funny that that guy just, you know, the mayor just, you know, blurts that out loud to, like, random people. By now, you know, I'll check all the bookshelves because the books have interesting stuff, but, you know, I try to make all the, like, you know, put as much variance, you know, in, as I could, you know, with, like, the dishes and all that stuff. Oh, and I guess he says that because that's what you go in this house, and that's what he says in Phantasy Star 1, too. Or Phantasy Star 1 as well. Yeah, so I thought that, I just expanded on, you know, kind of what this guy says a little bit, because in the town of Uzo, you get, you know, that special flute that has a different name in Generation 1 versus the Master System version, I know. So I just had to pick one. So, but to link that to something like you actually know about, or might care about, you know, even if you've only played Phantasy Star 4, you know, be like, oh, that's like, you know, yes, I don't remember what this thing initially said, but is that in the original? Someone's gonna have to tell me. That might be in the original, and I might have just said, like, what could this possibly mean? Yeah, we don't need anything. Oh, we do have some things to sell, don't we? As if we need it now. We will not need the Moon Slicer. Not need her shield. Yeah, we're at the point now where we're just gonna need the inventory space. I believe yeah, we don't need that. Yeah. Use Laconia Rod, it casts Ephes, but no, we don't really need it. Don't need that. Do need those Thunder Claws. I think that's good enough. Alright, so obviously we know where the girls are. I even met them earlier in this playthrough. Well, they told us they went to the market anyway, so let's go save them. I did maybe have a little too much fun with the, a little bit of the dialogue here, but, you know, whatever. Changed it in the Purist patch, so yeah. You know, this is a pretty ridiculous subplot, so I thought, you know, I could take a little bit more liberty with the dialogue about what they're doing here. Biffed it, favorite phrase of mine from Popful Mail. Yeah, so I threw in some references to Teen Girl Squad here. So and so. Yeah, so that's kind of a working designs line, so you know, that's not in the Purist one. No, I'm not going to pay that. Yeah, cheerleader, what's her name? So-and-so. It's not overt, you know. At least if you know what that's from, it might make you laugh a little bit. If you don't know what it's from, you're not gonna notice or care. So, at least I don't think so. If I'm wrong, you know, send me hate mail. Yeah, so they're obviously, these girls are obviously, you know, a little spoiled, so I just kind of played that up a little bit. Yeah, and they didn't really learn, you know, they probably have not learned anything from this endeavor. Yeah, so oh no! Did the line get cut off? Great, of course it did. Of course there's more stuff I have to fix. Don't finish your sentences is what that's supposed to say. I don't know how that happened. I know that's worked before. Oh well. Yeah, so it's kind of a strange resolution because, you know, stop all these girls like learn anything. So just had some fun with that concept. One down, 4 to go. But yeah, at least it's because you know, a sense for some of my writing style, I guess, a little bit. I don't know. And I like calling that a giant pile of Mota. Yeah, again, I tried to have a different, like, guild slogan for every time just to try to be creative and keep myself entertained a little bit. I like that slogan. Oh, I love this one. Yeah, so if you refuse, it kind of makes you feel bad, is the idea. Tarinko. And now that we got lots of money, let's go to Termi, aka Paseo, or Paseo, whichever one you like. Paseo is Spanish, actually, for, I think, walking. It's been so long, I can't remember what form of the word that is, but yeah, buy a melee, which should have a hyphen, according to Phantasy Star 1. Now that we have money, we can buy all this stuff in the gift shop, yay! And I did get to write a couple funny things when you put those in your home, so let's take care of this poor little kid. Yeah, it's a little silly, but you know it's referencing that, like, you know, Phantasy Star 2, which I know was 1,000 years ago when the whole world was, you know, connected. That was obviously, you know, a pretty hot look. That you know, that 80s Phantasy Star 2 look, so. And for whatever reason, none of these people can make a boat, I guess, so they just been on this island for, you know, 1,000 years, so. And I don't remember how how different this NPC dialogue is, or things like that. Yeah. Clearly, I do hate it. I mean, it's nice to go to a new town and have like new armor weapons, but it is pretty ridiculous that you go to like some crappy out of the way village, and they have like the best items in the game. So I like that they didn't do that in Phantasy Star 4. Yeah, it's just something silly, but keeping it in-game universe is the idea. Hello. Books, what we got? Yeah. Obviously try to have a different take on the books you don't want the ladies to see. And Rico would obviously not know why that would be exciting to a guy. Yeah, I don't think I have the script for all the guild missions. Maybe I do. Let's find out. I doubt it. I mean, I have it somewhere. I mean, but maybe it's in other areas. It might be on TCRF. Let's see. Let's see. No, I don't think so. I thought this other areas here would have it, but oh, they do have some of it. If you go to on TCRF, they have pages for the individual. Oh, the guild quests. Yeah, they do have it. Yeah, so if you really want to see the differences in the scripts for all the guild quests from yeah, I mean, these aren't very different, so. But yeah. Yeah, so so there, I thought I added psychosomatic. Yeah, he calls it like a psychological illness. That's accurate, but psychosomatic is a little bit more accurate to what might, they think might be happening here, basically. Yeah, so all he really says is that they used to take trips to that village. But I don't know, I thought it'd make it a little more personal if, and I thought it would make more sense if he would talk about, how much he loved, Alyssa herself, and her story. Too bad there's not more fun, unique books in here. Yeah, so she just says, I don't know what she says, actually. So, I added a little bit like this, because, I love Alyssa's character anyway, so just being able to talk about her, makes me really happy. She's just one of my favorite video game characters. Oh, they do not have the script here of what the kid says and what Rudy says, but yeah. So I embellished this a little bit. you know, and just made it a little more dramatic for his showing for the kid, which I think is really fun. Yeah, so I love this little exchange, and, you know, he just tells her, like, you know, he just tells the kid, like, this quick little story, and, you know, in a very, I don't know, moving, like, little kid way. Yeah, so I really enjoyed kind of, like, rewriting this little exchange. Find it very heartwarming. That's... Jerkin is not in the purest patch, don't worry. It's from Josie and the Pussycats. But, you know, kids always have their own weird slang, so, you know, I thought it was fine to give kids, like, silly things to say. And I thought it'd be funny to refer to the PS1 party as Alice's Avengers. I guess on that line, a quick note about Alice's name. So in Japanese, you know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, like, from everything that I've been told and what I've learned, that there's not really like oh geez, what do you call it? Like accent and like different syllables. It's all pretty just kind of like whatever the flow of Japanese is, like however the sentence structure goes, there's not like a specific way that you have to accent. You know, like in Spanish, you know, you put an accent over a syllable, and that tells you, you know, to emphasize, you know, that syllable. Japanese isn't really like that. So when you have a name, you know, it's just like Arisa. You know, it's 3 syllables. You don't have to accent. You don't, like, it's not part of the rule to accent, like, oh, the second syllable or the last syllable. It's just like Arisa. So with her name in English, you know, obviously you could say, you know, Alyssa or Alyssa. You know, it's kind of up to you, like, how to, you know, where do you want to put the emphasis? And my kind of thinking is, if it was Alyssa, there would be 2 S's. But every time I've ever seen the name written, it's only with 1 S for whatever reason. I think that might just be a choice that, like, the Master System retranslation team, you know, made when they you know, the more accurate translation of the game uses the Japanese names, and I think they just went with Alisa. So really, that, like, grammatically, that probably should be Alyssa, and Alyssa if it was 2 S's. But yeah, again, it's not a super big deal, like, either way. I don't think of, like, one is, like, wrong and one is right. Since, you know, we never hear these characters, you know, we never hear their name, you know, said out loud. But yeah, just a note on how, you know, this is how you have to try to decipher this stuff when you just have, like, you know, the katakana, like, written out. You know, no matter what you know, I just don't understand, I guess, people who, especially people who don't know, like, Japanese at all, and are like, oh, this is the only way that you can, you know, say this or pronounce this, or this is, like, the only exact translation, because I read, you know, one art book that had this, you know, had that name written out in English or something, and it's like, well, that's, you know, that's not, like, always, like, an open and shut, you know, be all end all, you know, case. Like, I have lunar art books where, like, the characters' names are, like, totally wrong and, you know, totally incorrect. In the English text is totally wrong. And, you know, that doesn't mean, you know, Alex's name, oh, it's really Ares. You know, that's really how his name is supposed to be in lunar, because, you know, the art book spells it out in English as Ares, Ahres, you know. Alright, let's take care of this. This is kind of my least favorite, probably, of all the Hunter's Quest. I feel like it, I don't know, it just kind of takes a long time. This guy is, like, kind of annoying, you know. So in the writing, I tried to make him a little more sympathetic, you know, with how this gets resolved here. Oh, this is kid. Yeah, so I threw this in just because, like, you're probably not even going to go back and, like, talk to this kid and, you know, this would sound inspiring. And Run Hedgehog Run is, you know, a book in the classroom, so I don't feel bad putting this little exchange in here. Yeah. Yeah. Any chance you have, you know, for the characters to, you know, interact with each other, I think is a positive, and that's part of what makes Lunar, you know, and Lunar Eternal Blue so charming, is you know, just the conversational tone of the game, and you know, how, like, relaxed the dialogue is, and how comfortable the party obviously is with each other. Just makes it fun to, like, you know, hang out with these characters and, you know, feel like, you know, you're in the group with them, and, you know, that they're your friends, I guess. Yeah, so, you know, if I wanted to spend the rest of my life working on this game, I could, you know, probably have exchanges like that for, like, you know, every kind of interaction in the game, and but you, like, you know, your job would never end, basically. Let's see, what does he say? Oh, so originally he just says, please exterminate them, which, you know, he's kind of a timid dude, even though he's, like, you know, putting on airs here a little bit, so I don't think, you know, please exterminate them, I think, is a little harsh for what he might say. Oh, no, the clerk says, please exterminate them. Oh, he says the same thing. What I want you to do is exterminate the head honcho bird. And he says he says the phrase head honcho bird, like 3 or 4 times in the span of his little conversation, so, you know, that's not, you know, perfect writing, so we try to... Oh, the cave is south a little bit, isn't it? So many random encounters. Yeah, and a lot of times working with the space constraints, as you probably saw in that last one, just really trying to work with the space constraints of the game. So, like, you know, Desert Leech, you can't, like, LECH and LACH, neither of those are really make the sound leech. And LICH is pronounced, that would be pronounced lich. So I had to, you know, mangle the word desert so I could have leech spelled out in full. So I try to do that for, you know, every enemy, basically. Like, how can get the full sound of whatever, you know, the monster's name is, you know, as best I could. And again, I have as a resource the katakana for all proper nouns in the game. So, you know, if you want to see yourself what they were called, like I probably mentioned at the beginning that, like, the weird bioengineered, you know, biomonsters from the very first dungeon in the game in the basement have just, like, some gibberish, you know, Z's, all, I don't know, like, whatever. Yeah, like, I don't, maybe that is related to a real thing, I have no idea, but for kind of like those gibberishy kind of like monster names, I just looked at the katakana and the phonetic pronunciation and just tried to make what was closest to, you know, phonetically what the katakana was. Yeah, so instead of calling him head honcho all the time, you know, I just changed it up a little bit. Yeah, that's a Ghostbusters reference. Think I can hear you, Ray. He's pretty easy, but why not, you know, beat him up? Don't use FS on him because he's not a bad monster. He is not an evil monster, so FS will not do any damage. And this feels probably more accurately pronounced FS, based on like the two S's. But you know, these names are all kind of gibberish, and we don't have a way to say them out loud. You know, kind of like whatever. Just do your best. I feel like that does a lot of damage, so it's like, you don't have to really take this guy that seriously, but you can't, you know, like, that does a lot of damage. Yeah, so if he just did that every time, it'd be no problem, but, you know, the Earthquake does some decent damage. Oh, that's what I was saying before, like, so, yeah, so Tandil is, if you look at the actual name of the spell, it really is just thunder, in the Japanese, like katakana. It's just thunder. So, in Generation 1 and 2, I think, they, based on that it's really just supposed to be thunder, but they wanted to keep, like, you know, the kind of, like, gibberishy names, the naming convention of Phantasy Star 4, they called it Tandre. But I just like Tandil because it rhymes with candle, you know, and it's like, you know, I know fire is not thunder, but it kind of looks like a candle, you know, coming from the sky. So I'm just too attached to Tandil. So again, yeah, you know, this trying to name the proper nouns of Phantasy Star is a huge mess, and no one's going to have, there's not one right way to do it, is what I try to emphasize to people. And, you know, people like to argue and fight over these kind of things on the internet, but it's like, you know, it's okay, two people can be right, because there's not a right answer. Let's talk to this guy. Please let it go. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so the way this is originally written is just not like you understand what he's getting at, but it's not like a very good story on his part. So I kind of made this, like, again, I wanted to make this make as much sense as I could and make him a more sympathetic figure, so because he's just like, oh, the villagers are being mean to the birds is basically the whole point of his this exchange in the first one. But it's like, that's ridiculous. Like, he lives in the town and he knows that, you know, these people need to eat, you know, as well as the you know, the birds too. Yeah, so I made this a little bit longer and, you know, try to make him a little more sympathetic. So instead of just saying, like, oh, I figured the villagers would stop being mean to the birds, like, these people need to eat, you know, so by saying, you know, he hoped that this would make at least people find a different solution, it makes more sense to just being like, well, everyone's being mean to the birds, you know. So to add this, you know, oh, well, we would have figured it out, you know, without harming nature. Yeah, so, you know, usually I don't like, you know, I don't feel the need to, like, add a ton more dialogue, you know, to these exchanges, but, you know, I figured this exchange, like, really needed it. And it ends on, like, a pretty stupid note, too, because they're just like, just leave, I hate you, you know, basically, and then they just say, like, you know, Rudy just says, just leave again, and he just, oh, you'll forgive me, thank you, and he just, like, runs away. So I thought it'd be better for him to, you know, have, you know, a little more contrition, and, you know, the party. I mean, he does say, like, just lock me up in prison, you know, I'm really sorry, but, you know, he does say that in the original, but, you know. And I thought this was worth exploring, too. So I have Rika kind of come to this, you know, being maybe the most sympathetic person, you know, in the party. I figured, and this is like kind of what really has happened here. So like we didn't kill the boss bird, you know, they're gonna go somewhere else. Yeah, and to whine about like, oh, this thing like almost killed us, you know, like when we're like so powerful. We've beaten 2 dark forces is pretty lame, so I figured Rune should kind of point that out. And my editor did not know the term grotesque cute, but that, yeah, look, you probably know it. So I left Rudy's, you know, he's mad in the original, so I left him still mad, but, you know, for him to, you know, kind of acquiesce, you know, to the rest of the group. And, yeah, whining about, like, how hard that bird is, that bird is silly, you know, I think, for Rudy to do. Yeah, Rune says that in the original, but, you know, I had Rika, I don't know, think of that. Yeah, so I know that, it's, you know, that's pretty wordy, but, I just thought that, you know, the side quest could use it pretty much. Yeah, and I just, like I said, I don't really think it has a great resolution, you know, in the, you know, in the original text anyway, and people aren't really, the characters are not really seeing, like, you know, what always happened, and it really did, like, work out fine. So, right, we get to use our, our wood carving. It's like, look at that, it's not very nice looking. So I thought, and I'm pretty sure that's what he says, you know, in the original. Yeah, I think it's his original line, and Rika's usually so, you know, so nice that I just thought it would just be really funny for her to see, like, to not, like, get art, you know, because she's, like, so young and, like, unrefined. It would be, like, the flip side of being, like, naive. Yeah, so just thought it'd be funny to do all that. Yeah, same thing. She does not care for the relics, and she's never, you know, she's never had, you know, relics, or she doesn't really understand nostalgia, you know. Yeah, and I feel like Rika should have a retort to that, but it's like, okay, this conversation is long enough. And I gave her a retort to the, you know, the sandworm thing, so. Let's see. Okay. She is really mad in the original script, so I just kind of took it to another level a little bit. All right. Only got one more side quest. And this one's a bit more involved. Yeah, and the, you know, I would say and the most interesting, although I love the Dying Boy one. Yeah, and it's nice that, like, you know, even the side quests in this game are more, you know, like, yeah, there's only like 8 guild side quests, but they're all interesting and they're part of the story and like the in-game, you know, they add something to the in-game universe instead of like, you know, go get this item, you know, in this cave, and I'll give you a reward for it. So just everything in this game is so like cohesive and so well thought out, and just everything is just tied together so well. Just really love this game. Let's go talk to the old man. Think he's here. There he is. Oh, this is I think something in here is like important. Okay, so this is the same. That's pretty much the same. Oh, no, what? I think so. I don't have the script for what they say in this little exchange. But they do say later. Yeah, later. I think later Ren says that you know, they were destroying AI. So I think I just had him say. I think I had him just say to plant that in your mind sooner, that like, oh, they're destroying like AI. But now I can't remember. Good old Can Jam. Okay. That's a line when you see it on like a giant, you know, like a text file. You know, you have no context where these lines are being spoken, so you can't, you know, you can't see that line and be like, you know, where that person is in the game and what they're fed up about. So something like that, unless you make a note of it, like, oh, what was that guy fed up about? And then you see it, you know, like 20 hours into your playthrough, and then you note it, and then you know, it's like you just gotta leave it. I think they're like, this thing is north, and let's get our Motavia map out. Zemo. Leech. Oh, why the volume of the game just went up for some reason? I think. Maybe just on my end. Whatever. Yeah, this is a really cool side quest. Oh yeah, so the original is I suspect there must be a sophisticated tactician. Tactician, it makes me think of like a human being. You know, when you say like tactician, you're thinking of like a human being's like creativity and kind of like ingenuity. So I don't know. It just doesn't seem like she would assume. She would more likely assume, I think, it's like a machine-led thing. So that's why I changed it to entity. Yeah. This is all pretty well written in the original, so I mostly, you know, I kept it. The, yeah. Oh, did I leave Rune say the person who sent the order? No, I don't. I missed it. I try to make sure that this was all, you know, like, oh, an entity or something. Instead of keep saying, like, someone. Like, how could... It just seems really strange for these people to assume it's a person, but why would a person, you know, only have info before, you know, before they recollapse? Like, how could they still be alive, but, you know, have access to that? It's kind of strange, so... I guess I had him say someone, but I kind of I'm rethinking that now. In fact, I'm gonna take a picture of that so I remember on my next revision. So maybe have a crack at that. Okay. So this is our last robotics kind of place. Let's grab another repair kit, because why not? It's only the 4 of us now. I have no desire to bring the formerly named Seth in here. Yeah, so their name, these robot names I left in caps, which, you know, I don't really know if lore-wise that was correct, that these, you know, Ren robots should be all capitalized. But I assume, you know, I didn't write anything in the game, but I assume it kind of stands for something. You know, the Ren, because, like, Siren, C-Ren, you know, 4-Ren. And then all these, you know, brainless, essentially, Ren units that you fight. You know, they're obviously of a specific line or something of, you know, of android. Don't kill Rune. Nah, res, alright. Let's use Rudy's. Oh. It is more annoying to not have main healer anymore. Yeah, and it's a subtle thing. Oh, I hate these guys. You know, I think they're harder to run from. No, it's just regular. Everyone's gonna die. Or will he? Nice. Yeah, some good experience in here. Photon eraser. Yeah, we'll keep the Pulse Falcon for now. Still not clear why robots and androids can create a magic barrier. Seems very odd. But since I don't have an answer and never found one, I left it in the game. Goodies. It's like barely better, isn't it? Well, this is kind of a bonus dungeon. What's D? Oh, the armor. Yep, we gotta go get that. Not that it's a a big deal, but I just always remember kind of hating this dungeon too. We have a super long walkway to go left and get the armor, and then a super long. We have to go all the way back to the right side, and then we have to deal with more stupid conveyor belts in the next board, in the next level. I don't even want to know if I want to screw around and get the positron bolt, but let's see. That's certainly better. Yeah, and like I don't feel bad for making the magic users tanks, you know, with the shields, because like because Ren is basically like, you know, if you're playing the game normally, and my God. If you're playing the game normally, and, you know, and he just sucks up damage, you know, the way he does, and stuff does, like, 1, you know, damage to him, you know, obviously the creators, like, you know, plan for this, basically, so. Hyperjammer kind of sucks, and not a big fan of it. We can use Sphere of Gra. Just do regular taxes. I'm gonna save the boss is a group of robots, so I'm gonna save the best group attack spells. So far. Man. Oh, I was gonna say, like, I'm gonna get snuck up on and just bombed. It's not fun. Yeah, I just don't like those things. Alright. Oh yeah, so he says this is awesome in the original script, so I find this exchange really strange anyway, but, you know, this is awesome does not seem what he's trying to say. Yeah, so this exchange is like really bizarre. This is awesome, blah 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 blah, what he just said, and then Rudy says, Rune, why exactly did we come here again? So if he's trying to make a joke, I guess this is what he was trying to joke about. So this is what I wrote. Yeah, so instead of saying very convincing, you know, extra convincing just seems, you know, more correct, more right for the situation. All right, the fort. Where do we have to go? Oh, okay. We don't have to push any buttons to go all the right. Conveyor belt. Looks like it goes down. That is a lie. The map is a lie! Let me go down from here. The map says, like, I wouldn't have to push any computer buttons, but it's wrong. It just changes that one. Look at that jerk. Oh my god, I better just fight them. Sure, I can spare an air slash. Yeah, we'll be fine then. I just think it's easier to just spam regular reses. Easier to be a little more precise with your healing, I think. Alright, we're almost there to the boss. And this boss is really, I mean, the boss is not like that big a deal, but this exchange is really, really cool. Yeah, and again, this game, you know, instead of just having like, oh, this is an extra dungeon where you get some extra crap, you know, and like no story to it. Yeah, even the fact if you think that like all like the machine forts, you know, like weapons plant, like all these like high-tech places, they always only have equipment for your android, you know. Also, it's like, oh, that just like makes sense. You're not finding completely random treasure in a completely random place. You know, it again, it has to do with the story, which is really, really cool. So we'll look at the positron ever. Alright, here's the dialogue for our upcoming scene here. Yeah, and I wish that, you know, we could add like a mother brain, like her sprite, you know. I wish we could add that, but that's difficult and far beyond my ability. Oh, it's not new still. Yeah. Alright, we ready? I mean, not that this boss is super hard, but so this should be mostly the same here. Yeah, I thought this, you know, scene is pretty well written. So instead of saying there's an error in his data, it just seems like, oh, we're missing data. You know, seems to be more accurate. I thought about having the computers talk in all caps, but it's kind of distracting. It's not like just that fun, you know, it's just not that nice to read. I think I did make her dialogue probably a little more straightforward. You know, a little more cold and like clinical, you know. And to reinforce, you know, that always, you know, she's law and order, you know. This exchange, this paragraph here, I really don't completely understand, like, what he's saying, honestly. Like, I kind of do, but I wonder if I'm, like, missing something specifically, so, rather than change it, I just left it. You know, while just, like, cleaning up the dialogue just a little bit. So instead of saying, you know, just a test machine, you know, just basically reiterating, you know, her data is incomplete. Yeah, and instead of ask, I don't think she should, like, question, like, oh, I'm a prototype. She should, as a computer, she would just still cling to, like, well, that doesn't even matter, because that's not, you know, reality. It's not reality anyway. And that's just to kind of say, like, they're communicating to each other in, like, you know, some kind of specific, you know, mechanical way by addressing, you know, her as, you know, his computer name. Yeah, so, again, like, just clarifying her stance a little bit, I guess, is what I wanted to do. Instead of just saying, like, Ren, you're the problem. It makes more sense to explain why. Yeah, this is pretty easy, but still, you know, take it seriously. rather double up on one. Get one out of the way. Don't think we need sand air, but... Oh my god. These things must have crazy agility. Jeez. Oh, you can spark these even. I could just do that. Well, I'll try getting one out of the way again. Devon is probably what we need here, but we're gonna have to waste a Gassar. Just a lot of damage. Let's give him a now-res. Now it did like nothing. Yeah, so this is a fun, you know, definitely a fun part of the game, part of the story. This is how you do a side quest, basically. Yeah, and I had, like, I went back to the lore a little bit here. Yeah, and I know, and I guess thinking about it now, you know, her data is from before the Great Collapse, but we'll just say he's, you know, even she's updated her information based on what Ren has just told her, basically, but it still doesn't change her point of view. Yeah, so yeah, and she's like, oh, just don't do this, so I just put more substance, I guess, behind what she's trying to say, or why she's trying to maintain her survival. And Ren's speech is pretty much the same. But instead of just saying their vitality, you know, just add on to that a little bit. And I added this part of, you know, problems we machines created in the first place. Yeah, and then the Forn, like, that's, in the final version of the game, and that's because Foren was his original name, and when you do a cut and replace, you know, that didn't catch, you know. Forn, F-O-R-N, was his, maybe original name in English? No, that's not why. Because in the Japanese, that's what she says in Japanese, like Forn, like, you know, just parts of his name. That's what they kept it in there. It's not because of a copy and replace. They just didn't catch that. Or they didn't know, like, what she was saying. Like, she was probably just making machine noises, they thought. Yeah, and again, he says there's no need for excessive interference. Just to hone in on what his statement was saying, you know, give words to that. And it's all the same. Yeah. I don't kind of like leaving that exchange and just like, oh, and then daughter woke, like dot dot dot. I think that exchange should end with something a little more profound, but Ren already said, you know, while he was talking to daughter, everything that needed to be said about, you know, the human recovery and the need for, you know, these kind of machines, and that humans can kind of do it on their own. So he already said everything was important, so why, you know, why have Rudy, like, reiterate it or anything? That double punch does hurt. let's go get our bolt thing. Hopefully it's the only... Do we need to touch this one too? Let's find out. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Get the positron bolt or whatever, and then be out of here. And then I think we're ready for the big stuff. Let's go up here. Oh yeah, so I have the dialog for this too. Yeah, and anytime they install like one of these skills, I always say like commence, you know, and I make it a verb. I just think it's funny. Let's get out of here. Right, what time is it? We're at an hour, so let's work to corrupt and let's start a new episode.